Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about the enemy is not fronting enough to pay the bill. They are not fronting enough to pay the bill. And for the ones that know urban lingo, fronting is, giving you something on consignment. You know what I'm saying? Just handing you or giving you some material items, up front, and then in return, later down the road, you compensate for it back. What kind of brought me to the subject today was I realized a lot of beings around us, friends, family, peers, spouses, they don't ever want to front the bill for the damages that they caused. You can be sitting at a green light, a red light, right? And a car runs into the back of you. Now, us being chosen ones is self-aware. We are going to say, hey, I should have been more aware looking behind me. And then that way, when they was getting close, I could have gassed it a little bit, or I could have swerved to the side, even though I'm sitting at a red light. We would figure out some way to take accountability for it. But the fact is, another being rammed into us. They have to pay for these damages. Take this and flip it in the spiritual realm. You'll have a lot of people beside you and in your space that will inflict harm, pain. They're going to try to damage you, your material possessions. They're going to do all of these things to accumulate this bill. And then when you take the bill back to them and you be like, yo, I went to go try to get this fixed and worked on, and they sent me back. They said this wasn't enough. You didn't give me enough money, enough energy to compensate for the damages. They have to compensate for the damages. You cannot just go to a hospital and then, say somebody beside you beat you up. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to go to the hospital. If they only give you $20 for your hospital bill, the hospital going to tell you to go on about your business. They're not going to say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about the other $5,000 or $15,000 or $50,000. We'll cover the rest. No, they are not. These beings over here who's causing and creating the damage, they should have an insurance policy with them that can cover the damages for the shit that they do to the beings and the people around them. You'll have people give you rides or help you or give you money or lend you money or just different things of that manner, right? But it never equates to the times that they ignored you, they skated on you, they gaslit you. It never equates to the amount of damages done. And then when you go back to ask them for the rest of the payment, or say you don't, because I'm not the one to ask for the rest of the payment, what I would do is as they're trying to get more out of me, it's wait a minute, I just went to the hospital for this. They said that you didn't cover these damages, so I couldn't get these work done. So I had to go on a roundabout route and get some kind of low grade bullshit insurance. I'm really insured through the universe, but I'm speaking on a lower frequency as if the Matrix has the answers for these things. You know what I mean? So the hospital would not compensate me. It's no different than you being with your spouse or your person and they are controlling your thoughts. They are dictating your actions. You know what I'm saying? They're controlling the energy in the environment, meaning that their shit is stronger than yours. It's projecting harder and stronger. It keeps putting you in a submissive space. You know what I'm saying? And when you have these beings out here taxing people, eventually you're going to run into the right ones like me. And we are going to charge you. You're not going to send me to a hospital with a $20,000 bill and then you only got $10 on it. No, sir. No, sir. So don't be looking, spiritually, when I flip that, don't be looking for any sympathy, empathy. Don't be looking for anything insightful, uplifting, because I know how to keep things at a even playing field, balanced. If that shit is not weighing, and you're charging more for the damages that you're doing, but it's not paying out to get my shit fixed. You know what I'm saying? You ran into my car, I need my door fixed. My door is $4,000 to fix. You give me $10. We have to flip these concepts to spiritual. This is why a lot of beings keep thinking it's okay for them to do what they do. You can do what you do, but once you reach the right ones, you will get taxed back. That's my job. That's our job. We're going to tax you back. Whether you get taxed in the physical realm, but usually we are way more intelligent and we're on a higher frequency. We already understand everything starts within outwardly. We are going to get you in the spiritual realm. We are not weak beings. We are not submissive. We are not complacent. We do what we have to do to survive and to blend in and to adapt to our environments and settings, but that's where they get us fucked up at. We are adapting to our environment. We are making strategic plays and moves. It's not us turning into a chameleon to blend in. We just adapt, meaning we're still ourselves, but we've adapted to the environment. You know what I'm saying? So for me, prison, before I went to prison, because you got jail before prison, I went in sentenced, so I only had like 5 or 6 months in the jail. But those 5 to 6 months in the jail, I knew for 5 months I put on 40 pounds. Spiritually, I knew I didn't want to be a little being going into prison. You know what I'm saying? Because you hear all these stories and blah, 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 and all of these things. And even though I didn't try to put weight on for like to do things to beings, I put on as a means of extra protection in case I need to. You know what I'm saying? And so I could blend in. You going in there smaller, your energy is all weak and submissive. It's just the other energies is gonna project over you. You know what I'm saying? I went there, I adapted the weight that was put on in 5 months, 40 pounds in 5 months, because I think I was like 160, 165 before I went up the road. When I came back, I was like 203 or 197. I was somewhere between that range, but I definitely was bigger than I was before, I had got up the road. But that just reminded me of adapting. I was still me. It never changed me from being me, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. You know what I'm saying? But I adapted. Adapted meaning that we got state clothes we got to wear, state boots we got to wear. It's a certain kind of energy in different pods and locations where you at, where you gotta know how to be solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing is with the spiritual war, everybody got all these stories, and it's enough movies about people having to fight when they go to jail or go to prison. And I've been in some fights while I was in prison, whatever. But the thing is, those were fights that I wanted to be in. I never had nobody push me into anything that I didn't want to do. I ain't never had nobody try to jump down my back or entice me, because the way my spirit is set up, it projects, so you know what time it is before you get to that space. So then any consequences or repercussions or my responses, it's in the higher power hands, but they know that it's not going to be an easy battle. You know what I mean? And that just comes with adapting and being mindful. Like, I wasn't going to put myself in a position to where these beings and other entities would be taxing me more, and then coming back for whatever they was coming back for, which I usually just see as energy, coming back for more, and then expecting me to give more. You know what I mean? So we have to be aware. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody do some witchy shit to you, make sure that it balances out. You know what I'm saying? We all do different shit and selfish shit. Sometimes you may do something selfish and it hurts them. You didn't do it with ill intentions, but it still affected them, but you're going to be more responsible and engage with them appropriately. That's the difference in what we do and how we engage if we do tend to hurt somebody, because it's never intentional unless they directed it to us, and then you're going to know it's intentional. We do intentional shit. Don't get it fucked up. Do not get it fucked up. You spit my food, I am liable to throw yours in the trash. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like you want to level up on us, just know that you have some of us warriors who are willing to go above and beyond what the fuck you're doing. You know what I mean? Everybody isn't with Martin Luther King speech, you know? You have Malcolm X niggas out here. And I don't mean him per se, I mean that spirit. By any means necessary. You got your beings over here who talks, and this is what it is, and we all need to That's cool and all. But when I see motherfuckers is doing shit detrimental to my daughter, I'm seeing all these little fat ass kids running around here. Something has to be done. If you starve your kid, your little people, or yourself, if you are fat in the Western world, you will not die. It will be painful. It will be painful. But you will be okay. Your body is fat because your body has enough stuff stored in it to eat for a very, very long time. If someone could show me or tell me in a video or something where it showed or said a fat person died of starvation, you know what I'm saying? It's not to be funny. It's not to be funny. We're in the Western world where this shit is a epidemic. If the system shut down right now and we all had to run, all of the fat ass people would be gone first. The fat ass kids would be gone first. And then we sitting over here looking like, they didn't deserve it. But the parents put them in this position. The parents is taxing the little people before they even get here, just like the system is. You know how the system transfers over when you die or move on to your next journey? They transfer over all your bills and shit to the next being. That's what the adults is doing with the next generation. Oh, my kids like this, my kids like that. No, they don't. You introduced them to this shit. And if you didn't, you allowed them access to the technology for them to look into it. And to be honest, in this Western world, you don't even have to introduce them. They just have to open their eyes. You know, it's everywhere. So that means that you wasn't doing your part as far as trying to do what you can to put them in a healthier space. You know what I mean? They taxing and charging more than, they taxing and charging more, but they not fronting and putting the funds up for what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So if I intentionally run up here and I just break my camera, I better have the funds to cover that camera. If I don't, then I just broke my camera. And I'm sitting around feeling my fingers like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I gotta figure out another camera process. You see how weird the process is and why we have to be aware of these things, you know what I mean? And if you still feeling a certain type of way about an attack or something that was happening to you, that's because they haven't paid. They have not paid. They have not paid. They have not paid, and you're trying to go to a hospital and you're trying to take care of something when you haven't even got your paycheck. You don't even have anything in your savings or check-ins, and you're sitting up here at the hospital like, can y'all look at me? Can y'all get me right? Can y'all look at me? Can y'all get me right? They're supposed to cover that. My man was telling me a story how his shorty had broke his PlayStation or his Xbox or something, right? And then ran it over or did some extra shit, right? But she did that in a time span to where she knew she had the funds in the account to cover. So right after she broke in, she made her point. They had their little argument, dispute. She bought him another one. You know what I mean? And I just use that as a small representation, because really what I'm talking about is spiritual, about how beings project this shit, have you fighting to keep your energy up, and they don't realize that they're charging you, they're extracting energy and trying to damage you, but they're not gonna cover what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not vibrating up here, you have to hear this a couple of times, because a lot of things on different frequencies will seem as if it doesn't make any sense, especially if it's something that's enlightening and lifting and it's in the spiritual realm, not with that witchy, confusing shit some of these new agers are doing. Like, I don't like that shit. I was one of the beings that when I was growing and learning, I was looking at the Ayara and the Eye Horse and all this other things, because they take you to Egypt first. When you this color in the Western world, the first place they do is take us to Africa. You have to understand that, okay, if you are from Africa, which Africans don't even call themselves Africans, if you are from that landmass, then cool, that's you. But it's other ones of us who's not. You know what I'm saying? I'm native to this land. I'm an Aborigine. I don't look African. I don't feel African. I don't have any connection to those roots. I feel even more solid here because I feel as though my genetics and RNA has been fully activated, and now I can kind of sense what my ancestors have been processing and sensing that we've been here on this land right here. This one. Not saying that my ancestors haven't traveled everywhere else all over the world, but this one right here. You know what I mean? So it's just understanding these things on a higher level, so that way when you in these spaces, because some of us are in spaces where you living in and you cannot just dip away and get away. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you have a job where you locked in and you haven't figured out your next move, so that's where you at right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's always a couple factors in the place. It's always, but just being aware, like, they have to pay. They have to pay. Don't you think you have to pay when you get caught slipping? That's how you know when you're moving righteously. When you're moving righteously and you do something weird, witchy, or not following your alignment, you have to pay immediately. The other beings, they have long sufferings and all of these things, so they usually have to wait on theirs. For us, we get our shit immediately. If I go kick this tree right now, I guarantee by the time I make it to my car, I'm probably gonna be done tripped. A stick done caught me up or some weird shit, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, how the fuck did I just trip? But I already know, like, we pay immediately for ours. You know what I'm saying? Our spiritual pockets are deep. That's why we don't have to have all the money in the world, because our spiritual pockets is deep, and they cannot touch our spiritual pockets. It's like being interrogated. They cannot make you say anything, you know, even if they torture your vessel. The movies show people getting tortured, being weak, giving up. But once you already started torturing me, motherfucker, just know that once you start, I'm never going to say anything. I'm never going to say anything. You're going to have to do everything you have to do, and it's just time for me to go into my next journey. It's that simple, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run up too long. Tapping anything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.